let's go ahead and call it to order. And anybody that comes in late, we'll just promote them to panelist. I would assume Andrea will be coming. I think that should be it. So call to order. It's 6:03. We have everybody here but Cheryl, Jeff Henshaw. Help me out here, guys. Cheryl, Andrea, and Robin are not in attendance. Is that right? That's everybody. Call to order an announcement of member openings. Jeff Henshaw, I kind of put a call out to the people we hadn't seen in a long time. Everybody got the same email and just said, hey, what's going on? We have some community members that are interested. Robin's here, let the record show. Just put the word out that community members were interested in a position. And if they weren't going to show up, then just kind of curious what people were doing. And Jeff Henshaw resigned. So we have one alternate member opening right now. So tell all your friends and family that we have a very fun, exciting position open. Sound good? Agenda review and public comment on non-agenda items. Does anybody have anything they want to add or subtract to the agenda right now? Nope. Is there anybody in the public, I haven't even looked who's in the audience, that wants to comment on anything that is not on the agenda? Raise your hand. Denise, do you see anybody? Jeff Beery looks like he's raising his hand. Can you let Jeff speak, Denise? I can't hear anybody.
Sorry, I just moved him over. There he is.
Okay.
And so he should be able to speak and then I'll move him back.
Hey, Jeff.
Hey, how are you?
Good. How are you?
I'm okay. I haven't, I'm not familiar with what the agenda is, and I don't want to derail your meeting.
We have you under item 2 under E, new business.
Oh, okay. Well, I'll wait around then. You guys can call
Awesome.
on me when you feel needed.
Man, dude, that voice brings me back. I can't see you, but it brings me back to a 12 o'clock hour of back in the day.
The good old days. Yeah.
I appreciate it.
All right, I'll stick around. I'll wait for you to call on me.
Okay.
Jeff, if I lose you, will you come back? I am going to try to move you back over to an attendee. So if I lose you, can you just join back in? Would that work?
I'll try and do that. Yeah.
Okay, let me see if I can do that. Thank you.
And for whoever's taking minutes, let the record show that Andrea is here now. Was there anybody else that wanted to comment on non-agenda items? Nope. Reports. Did everybody get to read the minutes from Parab? Does anybody have any questions or comments about Parab, what they've been up to?
Did the bee colony go anywhere?
That's not going to happen till next year.
Oh, okay.
Just because of timing with the bees, but I've got I'm the one doing all that footwork. And the guys that were gonna help me with it, they're gonna continue on with it. I'm just doing the bureaucratic part. Because every single one of them said, no way, I don't want to do that. So I'm getting the legwork done and it's almost there. But they won't be able to put bees in until probably next May. So
Okay. Thank you.
good question. How about an introduction of wait a minute, where are our minutes? Oh,
Tim's got his hand up.
yeah, go ahead, Tim. Can't hear you.
Unmute. Just wondering about the property on Higginbottom Flats that Danu mentioned that's for sale from Adventure Out West. If that's anything that we've looked into, well, that's nice. I'm glad I have that popping up. Do we know anything about that property?
I do not. Denise, do you?
All I know is it's been for sale for some time. I don't know what the price that they're asking, but it's been for sale for a while.
Do we know how big it is or what? We have an address or anything like that?
You can
look
pull it up there. I don't remember the parcel. I can look and see if I can find it and send it to you, but I don't remember the parcel number.
at? Okay, I'd just like to take a look at it, so,
Okay.
okay.
Our minutes got messed up. We'll have all of our minutes for that need to be approved will be in the June packet. So that's why that's not on the agenda tonight. I forgot about that. Do we have the parks manager here, Denise? No?
Oh, hold on. I can't unmute me.
We can hear you.
Oh, you can? Okay.
Yep.
No, he's not in. He's supposed to be coming. So sorry, I don't have his number, but he's supposed to be here to be introduced. So hopefully in a little bit he logs in.
Okay, we'll touch back with that if he logs in, and touch back on that. So new business, item E, me and Tim had a meeting with Denise, Roy, and Hannah from the planning department with the idea of trying to figure out some staff that will be at our meetings forever. Like that comes, you know how we used to have planning. And it was I thought it was a really good meeting. They're going to work on trying to get us a staff liaison from the planning department. I thought maybe someone from planning might be here tonight to kind of look around, and see how we do things. But it sure sounds like, correct me if I'm wrong, Denise, that we are going to have someone from planning start staffing our meetings.
So
Like this-
Shannon, just a quick update, what we're gonna do, and I can't announce who it is yet,
Right.
but we will be announcing very quickly our Parks and Rec Director, who
Okay.
has a tremendous amount of experience of some of the things that you're working on, including acquisition of properties. And they will probably be the liaison with planning support. So as soon as we can announce, I think you will be very excited, but I can't announce tonight yet who that will be. The start date is June 3rd. No, June 5th will be their first start date. And they have a tremendous amount of experience in much of what you do and is used to working with parks and OSAC boards.
Okay. Guys, I guess the main takeaway here is we need someone that has knowledge of how we work. I think Skylar was really working on it and trying and learning. I don't think John knew much about it at all. I think we've let a lot of things slip through the cracks, not us personally, by just not having someone from planning with us, showing us, keeping us on our toes, letting us know what's going on and when. So anyway, I guess that's kind of happening now. Tim?
Yeah, are you, Denise, are you saying that person is going to fill the slot for both planning and Parks and Rec?
We can't hear you now.
Can't hear you.
Sorry, I was trying to find the Higginbotham parcel also,
Oh,
so I could send
sorry.
that to Tim. So I was just trying to do two
That's
things at once.
okay. It's not personal.
They're gonna do the initial, they're gonna be your liaison, and then planning is gonna attend as needed. So whenever you say, hey, we really want this parcel, we need more information, then we'll do that. However, I believe that this individual has quite a bit of experience in acquisitions and other things. So we'll keep you posted as we move forward. Planning just has 4 boards right now, so they can't take on a full board, but they can offer support.
I guess, Denise, the big thing here is we're going to have to, to be real blunt, Parks and Rec has not been working for us. I think we need to really figure out if maybe we're sending our minutes to planning, maybe we have someone liaison with them and maybe have a meeting with planning outside of a board.
I think
understand that
Shannon, Shannon, I
it's
think
hard to,
that would be great if you have an agenda, whoever the board chair is has an agenda and
Right.
says, hey, here's our agenda. Can we meet with planning and this liaison the Wednesday before? Here are the things we need to go through. What is it that we need from planning? And we'll make that happen.
yeah,
Right.
because I mean, we've had planning forever. I mean, even when there are two people in the office, we always had someone helping us out. So hopefully we can figure it out. So
We'll figure it out, I promise. And soon as we can get through Hiawatha and library, it frees up some of planning because they're doing on both of those projects right now also, and is taking extra time that, you know, they weren't doing before. So we'll work, we'll manage, we'll continue to do whatever you need. And it may mean that planning has to attend once in a while, or the board chair can meet with them early and see what support you need and do the research accordingly.
right, maybe they can. Yeah. Does anybody from the board have questions or comments on this issue? No.
No.
Everybody's good. All
No.
right. So the next part of new business, this is kind of new business, kind of old business. I don't know that there's anybody that's on the board right now, maybe TJ and Nancy, that would remember when it came to us before. Go ahead, Tim.
Hey, should we get Jeff back in here at this point?
Yeah, we can bring Jeff back in.
Okay,
Yeah, I remember.
Yeah, so Nancy remembers. TJ, do you remember this at all? The community garden on Pilot Knob.
Not really ringing a bell right now. Sorry.
It was around 2016, but it's been ongoing for probably since 2005.
Well, they had the illegal structure on it. That was when Dylan was around. Yep.
Yep, there was. Yeah, Christine Lowenberg brought it to us. So hopefully everybody read the memo that Wade Buckholder, who is a planning director in like the third or fourth iteration of this lot. This came to OSAC then. Jeff Beery is one of the landowners adjacent to this piece of property. And they want to do some kind of community garden up there. I think the catch, and we had just done, I'm just trying to get concise here for you guys. We had just updated our code to possibly allow some of these things on open space property. You guys remember that when Hannah kind of updated us?
Mm.
So when she was updating it, to me, this sounded like one of the perfect lots to do that. The catch here is the city would have to have an easement onto that lot because it is our property. And if it's going to be a community garden, it has to be open to all the public. So
City of Manitou Springs property
yeah.
by our property,
Yeah, it's open space property, that little lot.
by the city of Manitou Springs.
Yep. And it got given to us. It was a donation way back. I don't know how or why. I think we took it on as a donation just in case something ever happened with the Jenkins property. We could add it to that. So anyway, in 2016, Mr. Beery came to us and asked about buying it then. And then you'll guys see in your packets, basically the discussion OSAC had about buying it or selling it to Mr. Beery and their thoughts on the matter. It was unanimously voted down to not sell it. And now it's back in our purview. Mr. Beery is coming back to us and seeing if we would be willing to sell it to him. Would this be the time to have Jeff kind of tell us what he's thinking?
Yeah.
Jeff, are you there?
Yeah, can you hear me all right?
Yep. Did I spell that out pretty good?
Yeah, I think so. I did approach the Open Space Committee a while back. I don't know the exact date, and recall that it was decided not to relinquish the property. What I'd like the the board, the committee to understand is that it is truly an odd lot in that there is no public access to it. It is surrounded on four sides by private property, and there's no public access. In fact, the only public access to it is through my property. And my property at 386 Pilot Knob is a bit of a postage stamp. And the property that adjoins me in the back of my house here is largely vertical. I'd say there's probably 20 feet by 30 feet of relatively flat space. The remainder of it is a vertical slope up to the Midland, excuse me, the Midland Trail, the Midland trail bed, the rail bed. So I wanted the committee to consider that it is not accessible to the public. And I really couldn't accommodate an easement through my property to access it. And in addition to that, there have been, over the period of time that I've been living here, there have been some flood issues. It drains down this hillside into my backyard, my really small backyard. And had there not been, I think it was probably 2-3 years ago, we had a massive downpour here. And there was literally a river coming down off of the hillside behind me into the backyard. Had there not been a couple of raised flower beds, a large part of the hill, the gravel that had washed down that gully would be in my basement, would be in the room that I'm sitting in right now. My shed and the raised flower beds in back of my house diverted that to Pilot Knob. So Pilot Knob got to feel the onslaught. So they're flooding. There are flooding issues, and there's also fire mitigation, which I've largely taken on myself. I've cleared the hillside a number of times, rented chippers, chipped the wood, gotten it hauled off or spread around appropriately. So there's stewardship in this plot of land that is not happening, which I'd like to take over and just, have it remain open space if that's an objective of the committee for open space to remain open space. It's not my intent to build on it, but to just be a steward of it. It has created amongst the immediate neighbors some aggravation, some points of contention. You mentioned a shed or a structure that was built in the guise of it being a public garden, which was contested. And so there are differing ideas of what the property should be amongst the adjoining neighbors. And it's problematic. It's a problematic piece of property. Right now, there is a rental that adjoins one side of the property, and it's becoming a dump, really, that I am, again, because this is adjoining my backyard, am tasked to clean up repeatedly. So I just want to point that out to the committee, that if there are intentions to make this a public garden or a trailhead, or even for Jenkins to purchase the property somewhere down the line, if the Midland Trail should become a roadway, it's not buildable because of this vertical aspect to it, and there's no public access. Anybody that gets to the property, even my neighbors, have to go through my property to get to it, and I'm just not eager to have part of my property carved away for access to this thing. In fact, I'd really resist that, because the property is my existing property is so small to begin with. So that's what I wanted to present to the committee. I've recently had my property platted. I had to have it resurveyed and platted to put this addition on my house that I put on in 2017. And I'd invite you all to come up and I can show you where the property lines are. And you'll see for yourself that it's just an odd lot. It is very much an odd lot. And I just don't see any advantage to the city keeping it, quite frankly. In fact, I see some liability if it continues to flood the way it has, if there's fire that would reach that hillside behind me. So that's really all I have to say. I know there are you know, procedures in place to do this sort of thing, and they're pretty restrictive. But if there were a chance to purchase the property, I'd jump on that opportunity. I'm leery. I have to say, I'd be leery of a public offering because it would present the same problem. You know, I could see if the property were listed, that somebody in Oklahoma, you know, sees that there's a lot in Manitou, a mountain property lot for however thousands of dollars, let's buy it and build a cabin there. Well, they wouldn't have access to it, you know, so it would be a problem. It's just a problem lot. Very odd. So I'm reluctant to, I'm kind of reluctant to open this can of worms to begin with, but I think something needs to be done with it. And I'd love to put some money in the coffers of the Open Space Committee to do something better, to maintain some trailheads, I've sat in a couple of your meetings and yeah, go ahead. I'm sorry, I'm taking up too much time.
No, not at all. You make a compelling argument. I'm just wondering if we know about the legalities of selling this property to a private individual in the community. I don't know if this has ever come up before, or if we need to get Jeff Parker's opinion on this, if we can actually do that.
Yeah.
Or do we have to go through some public offering? What would actually happen? We may have constraints on us that we know nothing about at this point, even if we wanted to sell it to you. So we need to check into that. We probably need to get an opinion from Jeff, both on whether in general we can take those properties that have been gifted to us or sold to us for open space and sell them to the public, and in particular have him take a look at the deed on this to see if there's any limitations on that.
Well, again, I'd be happy to show you the replatting that I did with my property. Okay. There is a vacated easement that surrounded
right
this
the
property.
Elkhorn
right
road. Yeah.
So I had to create a new subdivision within this, which has all been done, and I've got all that paperwork. And again, I'll just summarize by saying I'd love to invite you guys up here to have a look at it, just so you're aware of what it is. I think there's been a misunderstanding that there's access to it, which there just isn't. So,
Denise,
Do you know the parcel number?
I'm sorry, I don't.
I've got it here. Just a second. Actually, if everybody looks at that little,
it should be in the packet.
it's
Okay.
in the packet, but in fact, it shows the lots around it too. Unfortunately, it's about the size of a postage stamp in this. But if you just hold control down and spin your wheel on your mouse, you can increase the size of that and see exactly what we're talking about there. That's on page 16, I think. Sorry about that. I didn't realize until Shannon pointed out that.
Hey, Jeff, I have a couple questions just to kind of get everybody's wheels turning thinking wise. So bottom line is never going to be a community garden.
Well, I don't think so. I mean, I think the immediate neighbors have tried to cooperate and do things, and it's been a point of aggravation for everybody, you know?
Yeah, because one neighbor wants this and the other. I mean, I
Yeah.
think the neighbor is who called
Yeah.
on the greenhouse that was Steve built.
Right.
Um, so yeah, that did get weird. I mean, so just out of curiosity, I mean, I'm struggling. I mean, I agree with you 100%, but I just don't know how in the world this could be fair. Because it's surrounded up on four sides by private property. Why? I mean, what are those other four? Are they going to be okay with you buying it and not them?
Well, the only property owner that may have an interest in it would be my neighbor behind me here,
Austin.
Austin and Laura. They may have an interest in it, but again, for them to access it, they're going to have to come through my property. You know,
But I mean, aren't there four sides? People own something on four sides of that?
yes. So you've got Austin and Laura on the I would say the west side. I'm on the south side. My neighbor Corey is on the east side, and then it's Jenkins on the north side. So I mean, I think the only person that might have an interest in it would be Austin. And again, for him to access it, he'll have to come through my property. And I just don't know that
Why would he have to come through? I mean, doesn't his property touch it?
it does, but I mean, well, I stand corrected. He could access it through his front yard if he wanted to bring any equipment in there, if he
Is
wanted
he
to,
the guy that's turning his tenants are the ones turning it into a dump?
yeah,
Is code enforcement ever been involved up there?
no. I mean, it's messy. There's a lot of trash, broken bottles that I've picked up. There are dogs running, you know, using it as their dumping ground.
So what I mean, I think right away we need to stop that by the use of code enforcement.
Yeah.
And this is Zero Elkhorn, right?
Right.
Okay.
So back to the interest, parties of interest that might want this. The only party I could see would be Austin. And again, for him to get even a wheelbarrow in there, he's going to have to go through my property to do that realistically. So no, I just don't see it as being.
Yeah, I think it would behoove. I mean, I definitely want to hear everybody's thoughts, but just so you guys know, as a group, I was mentioning this to a buddy who lives on Pilot Knob. We were fishing and we were talking about it, and you know, I said, "Hey, man, I think that community garden. You know, I just mentioned how cool this, and maybe we have this situation." And he said, "You know, I really want to buy the open space behind my house too."
Yeah.
And that made me like, "Oh,
Yeah, I'm sure it's a problematic. Yeah, it's a problem.
well,
you
it
know?
makes a slippery slope." But man, of all the lots in the world, this is one that, like,
Yeah, I mean, I just don't see I don't see an advantage in leaving it the way it is.
well, it'd be to not open up a humongous can of worms with everybody who butts up to an open space.
There's that. Yeah. But I mean, maybe the committee needs to look at these lots and think about what the advantage is to having these odd lots, which are very much like that. My suggestion to the committee would be, and to the planning department would be, to consider liquidating these lots so that they could have good stewardship, and also to generate income to do more public exercises, make things available more openly to the public. That's my thought.
So I had a question. I was up there, and it looks like from the back of your house that you have a very small backyard, and then that open space begins.
Yes.
And then it goes to that cliff.
Yes.
And then the lot continues on above it, right?
For about at the top of that cliff, for about 6-8 feet to Jenkins' fence that he's erected. Yeah.
Oh, okay. All right.
Judy, did
So-
you have?
Yeah.
Nancy?
Hi, Jeff. I live on Pilot Knob too.
Hi,
Just, just down from you, a block. But I've walked by, but I've never felt like trespassing. So I would like to take a closer look at the lot.
absolutely.
I know that as Shannon says, opening the can of worms, and I wish we could, we do have a few lots that maybe don't serve such a purpose, but I can tell you, I've been on the board and I've talked to members of the city where we really, really have thought a lot about that Jenkins property, that it would be a real viable and important piece of property were it ever available for the city to own for a lot of reasons. And you said it yourself, the trailhead, the trail is there, the Midland Trail potential and all that is there. And so in my mind, that's one of the reasons we've hung on to it. The other thing is you mentioned in the first part of your talk about you would like to take care of the property. And I don't know, I have a piece of, I have a tiny lot next to a piece of city property that I've been maintaining too. And it's a whole nother story, but I cannot imagine that the city, especially with, and maybe I'm crazy here, but that any maintenance, quote unquote, that you do on the property short of, not having a community garden with public access and that kind of thing, people would object to just in terms of keeping your own property safe, is what I'm thinking, or that you don't look out of your back windows and see an unsightly, piece of open space, which is also our responsibility.
Yeah. Well, I have sort of taken it on myself to cut down a lot of dead wood off of the hill there. And the drainage issue is something that's concerning to me. If we have another big downpour like we had, it really just comes down that gully right there. And that's a concern to me. But yeah, I have just sort of done it in hopes that I might, hands wouldn't be slapped, thinking that's the right thing to do. But again, there are things that I'm concerned about my neighbors having a problem with too, so there's this sort of this mentality of, well, who's in charge of this, who's making the rules, who said you could cut that out? I like that tree, or whatever. I don't know.
Do you have an idea or a plan of what you would do for the gully to try to mitigate the flooding?
I'd probably do a little terracing up the side of that gully, and I think some plantings actually would make sense to get a root system, see if there could be a root system established in there. But I think terracing it would be a good way to at least slow down a big wash, a big gully wash.
Is this lot 3 acres? Is that what I'm looking
No,
at?
No.
No. Let me give you the,
What is it, like 600 square feet?
Oh, okay. Okay.
Jeff, how big do you think that is?
yeah, I would say it's 600 square. No, I would say it's probably, I would probably say it's about a 30 by 40 foot, 50 foot lot.
1,200 square feet, 1,500
Yeah.
at the most.
Yeah.
let me give you the schedule number. It's 740-641-1053. And I just sent that to you in an email, Denise.
I got it.
Yeah.
I
think-
sent you an email back.
I think if nothing else, guys, I think this is a really good conversation starter, because we've talked about this small parcel inventory for literally years. We've talked about it. We've talked about, I know of one up on Cliff and Pinion that we got donated. That's literally 300 square feet. They're donations and we have to inventory them. We have to figure them out. I think maybe this is a really good conversation starter on how do we, and I think we should be able to, as an organization that's tasked with protecting public lands and whatnot, be able to give back to our citizens somehow. I have no idea how it would work or whatnot, and I will not be here when it happens, but I think this is a great way to kind of get the ball going, to think, how can we make this, people have a little bit more livable space. They're picking up a little extra land that no one can do anything with anyway. But I don't know how that works. I don't know how. I wanted to bring this to you guys to get the ball rolling, to get it thinking. I know there's probably nothing we can do quickly, but I think it's something we definitely need to talk about for the future of these tiny little small lots everywhere. Go ahead. Sorry.
Shannon, I really appreciate that. I will say that my mind got going on this because there has been a precedent, to my knowledge, with the house that's behind me. When it was owned by Isla Quinn, she purchased sort of a same scenario lot that adjoins her lot back there. Right. I don't know. I don't even know the address of the little house is behind.
No, I saw that, and I saw that she turned that into her own, but I couldn't really dig deep enough to figure out how that transfer happened.
Yeah, well, Isla was connected. She was a realtor, and I think I don't know how she worked her magic, but my understanding was that was a city lot that she acquired to get more space to add to hers, which is now being used for parking, basically. But it's a hillside.
No, and I know the property real well. I would question strongly if that was ever really a city lot. I think there's a way to find out. So I think maybe if we could figure out how that happened, and maybe that set some kind of precedent. So Nancy, go ahead.
Yeah, I'll tell you where it becomes difficult is that the property is zoned open space. If it was just city property, and I've got an example right here where I thought a piece of city property was my property. I got it surveyed and discovered it wasn't. And it's changed a little with every planning director, but the most recent planning director before this one said, the city's not interested in maintaining it. If you will pay for a survey and I have a neighbor who agrees because their property is also encroaching on city property, we'll just clean up those boundaries. It will be part of your property. The other part where my neighbor's encroaching will be part of his property. It has no value to the city. And I've been maintaining it. So the problem is that this property is owned by open space, not that it's under the city's purview per se. So I'm wondering if we could transfer it to the city, have it not declared open space, and then from there on, it's the city and the planning department deciding whether they want to do that. There's considerable expense involved in having that survey done, but and the deal is, Nancy, if you pay for it, we can make it work, which my neighbor and I haven't done yet, haven't agreed on. But I think the rub is that the property is zoned open space, and therefore it's been put in our bailiwick, and it doesn't necessarily have to be in our bailiwick.
Right. And the optics of selling open space, I mean, I'm not willing to jump on that bandwagon. Just because but once again, I think this is a great opportunity to move forward, to see how these things can be taken care of. So yeah, Tim.
So why don't we do that? Why don't we move forward on this with, first of all, checking with Jeff Parker and what the legalities are, and also checking with planning to see how we do it Nancy has suggested.
So yeah, how about that? How does everybody feel? I don't think we need to make a motion, but how about we get more information to have something maybe actionable at the next meeting? Yeah, Andrea?
Well, I just want to say, generally we're not in the business of selling open space, but the other, and open to hearing about particular situations, all that, but it's a bigger issue, I think, than just us deciding if we can sell that property. I think this is like people will freak out if they
Right.
donated the land to be open space, and then you sell it to private property owners who maybe could say, yes, we will, maintain it as open space, all that kind of thing. But it's their private property then,
Right.
so that's all.
No, Andrea, and you're right. I mean, this is a terribly slippery slope. And I think if it was any other lot than Jeff's 1,200 square foot lot, we would say absolutely hell no. But we don't have access to it. Even if we bought Jenkins property, it does nothing for Jenkins property. It's not going to be a trailhead. It's not going to be like some little cool little scenic overlook on the Jenkins Trail. None of that's realistic. So, but the optics of it and just saying out loud, selling open space sounds terrible.
Well, I work with donors and optics a lot myself. And I think that my feeling is that if you were to say, we want to do this so that we can invest in larger public projects, that there'd be a financial component to this that would benefit the larger community in the long run. I know you guys have your war chest. This little piece of property wouldn't amount to much, but I think if you did reconsider these odd lots that have no real public advantage, that don't benefit the public, and present it as such that if we liquidate these, we can do this, we can do this other thing that, that's my feeling.
Yeah, I mean, I hear where you're coming. That's going to be a real hard spin on that lot. But
Yeah.
Go ahead, TJ.
Yeah, I don't know if anything I'm going to say is going to change the real direction of where this is going or anything, but just wanted to go on record that I think that, on the other hand, OSAC being seen as just completely inflexible on any of these scenarios where it may impact some of our residents might not be a good look either. So just something to take into account. For the odd lot advantage, Shannon, you've been the one that's really been hammering for the past few years that we never know when these odd lots may come in handy for making connections or something like that. Right. Again, case by case basis and stuff like that. But and then the last thing is that just because it's something that we think is open space is not a permanent thing, because when we've been going through all these odd lots and then suddenly planning came down on us and said that a lot of the things that we thought were a designated open space actually weren't. The designation can be a transient thing. So
right.
We should look at this and from what I've been hearing here in this case, that this seems like it's a special case that that the property itself really affects one neighbor, and with the liability of the hillside coming down and destroying property or damaging or anything like that, it might be something to consider, that it might be worth more for us not to have than to have. So
those are really good points, TJ. And I think to add on to your, hammering these small parcels might be something someday. I think we also need to realize when they're not. And I believe this parcel might have been taken on thinking that someday the guy that lives at Jeff Beery's place that used to be a garage was going to let us have an easement onto that, and it would have been a trailhead, but it's not. So I think it's probably pretty safe to say that this parcel, all these things, we hold on all these little parcels because who knows what it's going to be in 30 years. I think it's safe to say that this one is not, but that's a whole nother conversation. So, but your point is very well taken, and that's a great point. Nancy?
Oh, I think Judy
wants to talk.
Judith is before me.
Okay, Judy. Sorry, I didn't see her.
Unmute.
Judy, you're muted.
No, she's not.
Muted.
Oh,
I can't hear her.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yes.
yes.
So I've been waiting forever, and there are a couple of things I want to say. I'm fine in saying, well, this is a special case. What I'm really not fine with is sort of what Andrea said, and sort of more, because first of all, I kind of like the idea, if we even thought about this, of letting the city do it. Because then it's on the city, and the angry neighbors and all that stuff becomes not relevant to us, which it isn't. The next thing is, I think if the property that Jeff, you're talking about, if the rental people, people renting the adjoining property on one side are dumping trash in it, that's a matter for the owner to call code enforcement, or code enforcement to say to the owner of the property, hey, this is not your property. You can't let your tenants dump on it. That's something, that's a whole bailiwick over here. That has nothing to do with this issue. And the last thing is that I would be okay with moving it to the city and saying, you deal with this, because then it's not us. So it doesn't infringe on our mandate. Because I would hate to have somebody come back about that and say, well, I don't care that it was a special case, but they're still going to say, you did it for Jeff Berry. Why aren't you doing it for me?
Right.
We don't want to be in that. We
Right.
don't want to have anything. That's just not our bailiwick. That's not our job. We don't want to mediate. We don't want to do anything, I think, about that. I think if you're for it, then it should be moved to the city. And we're done with it. Because the other, well, I've been waiting all this time, so give me just 1 second. The other thing is that there is this problem I see of, we all know Jeff. He's a responsible person. He'll do what he says. But then what about the next one? Or what about if that person who's adjoining, who takes the easement and says, oh, they're just going to protect it, sells their property to someone who says, hey, I own it. I'm going to put a garage on it. I don't think we want anything to do with that. I really don't. And I think the idea is, well, it's a special case, great, but let the city do that and let them handle it. That's what I wanted to say.
Judy, that's a good point. And I believe we have to do it through the city. There's no way that it would be okay to go to the voters like we're going to be doing in the next couple of years, asking for money and then selling the land we bought with our money. There's no way that's okay. So Nancy.
Yeah, just somewhere in this conversation, somebody said that property isn't worth anything to us. I just like to say that any open space, no matter the size, that is not developed is worth something as open space. Whether it's worth something because there's nothing built on it, nothing will be built on it, whether it's for wildlife or wildlife corridor or whatever plants and fauna and flora are on it. It's worth something as open space just because it's open space, not developed. So I think as stewards of open space, that should be a guiding principle, that we are preservers of open space, no matter how big, no matter where it is, it's worth something. Just our voters have said they wanted more open space. It might not be worth it in a lot of terms, in terms of it's not buildable and there's not access. Nevertheless, there's nothing on it, and it's open space.
I agree. I mean, I value it as open space too. And I don't want to take up more of your time. I know you guys have a whole list of things to talk about, but I just wanted to present the idea to you. And again, I am equally as afraid of opening up a can of worms that, I lay awake at night thinking about open cans of worms around this time. So, but I thank you really for considering it. And I want to offer an invite to anybody that wants to come up here and sort of see the property lines. I think that's really telling, is for me to be able to show you where the corner markers are and just how isolated this thing is, from public access. So let me know what I can do, if anything.
Well, Jeff, how about this? Let's we're going to go ahead and move on. But
Okay.
what we need to do, let's just see. I mean, the attorney might shut us down quickly.
Sure, I understand.
So let's get going. We'll check this out, and we'll have some kind of like a legal opinion by our meeting in June.
Great.
and then we as a group can discuss it again, and see where we want to go. And I'll keep you posted as I find things out in between. And
You
just
know,
see
I
where
don't-
we can go, get you into the
That
next
sounds
one.
great, and I really
Okay.
appreciate it. I don't, just one final thing. I don't know if there'd be any legalese to me saying, you know, to providing some sort of addendum to this, that it would remain open space. I mean, I don't know if that's even possible once it's private property, but you know, that'd be my intention, is to just clean it up and steward it. And
I think they could be a conservation easement on it somehow.
Right.
So
yeah. Okay, well,
Cool.
I'll
Thanks,
get out
Jeff.
of your hair.
I'll knock on your
appreciate
door
your
someday.
time.
What's that?
I said, I'll knock on your door someday for the
Yeah,
tour.
please do. Please do, Nancy. I welcome you anytime. All
We
right,
appreciate your time, Jeff.
I'll bow out. Thank you guys for your time. Thanks for all your hard work.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Is everybody cool with where we're going with that? Just get an opinion, see what they say, and then we can get down and dirty.
Yeah, I think there's two opinions we need. Number one, can the property be rezoned? And we know that the rezoning has gone back and forth. Like you said, we found out that some stuff that we thought was open
I'm
space
curious
wasn't,
if it's even zoned.
and vice
Yeah,
versa.
that's what I'm thinking.
And that's one piece is, you know, can we relinquish it to the city, and are we positive about the zoning? And then the other part is, could you actually sell it?
I will be on it. You guys ready to move on? Anybody else have comments or questions about that? Nope. Okay. Item F, old business, trails and trail maintenance. Andrea, put your name on that because we don't really have anybody other than you. So sorry if I threw you under the bus.
I don't
Oh.
have not been able to connect with the new parks manager at all.
Right.
Did email Carl at Remfe about just trying to keep us in the loop, and we're working through a change in staff kind of thing. But if anybody has any things they've seen or noticed on trails or has any thoughts, I think now, because of a lot of the weather that we've had, would be a good time to go and just check out. And if anybody sees any blowouts, just speak up.
We are gonna have a parks manager that's gonna be kind of our trails guy.
He's coming in right now.
Oh,
Oh.
hey,
I just brought him over. There is Brad right now.
Yourself for those of us who haven't met you yet.
hey, Brad.
Hey, there we go. I've been listening to everybody, but it wouldn't let me get in. So thank you, Denise.
You bet.
So, hey, everybody, good evening. I'm Brad. I'm the new parks manager here in Manitou. Still getting to know a lot of what's going on. So please be patient with me as I continue to learn, and just kind of looking forward to seeing what you guys got going on and what kind of path we're heading down.
Awesome. Well, Andrea is literally our trail guru, I would say. Am I using that term wrong? Anybody? No.
But I would love to meet up with you, Brad, and we can kind of talk through some stuff. I do have a question, and this might be too much, but do you, in like your sort of orientation to all the things, like is trails under your purview? Or I know we're looking for, a Department of Rec director, and that may change once they come on board, but do you have any idea about that?
So we have a few of us a few weeks ago actually went up and did the crew leader training with Remfe up on Pikes Peak. So we spent a whole weekend doing the crew leader training and certification process with them on that. So there's a few of us that have gotten kind of an idea of what we need to be looking for, and kind of how their teams are going to be hitting it, because I know that they're going to be coming out to help us out in October, I believe, September, October. And so being able to kind of understand what they're doing and what their daily goals are like and all that stuff is going to be kind of crucial. And then when we get a director in, hopefully he or she is well versed in, you know, some open space and trails kind of stuff and can really be helpful in teaching me more and kind of helping us to kind of be guiding into a smooth direction. So just kind of continuing to learn as we continue through these processes and such. So
Okay. So I will reach out to you, and I would love to just sit down and chat through that stuff. I'm super happy to hear that you're involved with the crew leader training. There's us that have done that as well. And
it was amazing. Oh yeah.
yeah, like, I mean, we're into trails around here. So that will be, I will reach out to you. Okay.
Yeah, absolutely. It seems as though we've got some weather still lingering around. So anytime that we're not out in the field, let me know.
Awesome, Brad. Does anybody have questions? Steve, go ahead.
Yeah, I just wanted to give an update on the bar trail, the lower 12 or so switchbacks. Saturday, Friends of the Peak went up there and did some assessment and some work. And there's some boulders, some pretty big boulders that came down on the trail, and a couple of them aren't going to move. So they're just going to be there. We're going to have to somehow route the trail around them. There's one that came down through about 7 switchbacks, smashing through the rails all the way down. And then it decided to land right in the middle of the tread. And that's one that won't move. It's as big as a small car. And so what we did was we kind of opened up a path on the inside, because on the outside there's a way around the rock, but it's going to be not going to be very good for people to use that, because the tread's going to break away unless we put up a wall to protect the tread. It's the best route's going to be on the inside. And there's a narrow corridor about the width of a little bit more than a body where people can get through. And we got a fairly large log out of there. We were able to get it out of there with a hacksaw. So there's a path to go through there. And we also did some more mitigation along the trail. But like I said, there's quite a bit of damage was done on the bar trail. You have to go up and check it out. That's all I have.
Anybody else have questions for Brad? No. Oh, Denise?
I just want to say, Andrea and Brad, I sent both of you an email so you have introductions and can get connected and get a meeting going.
Just got it. Thank you.
Well, we're very excited to have you. You let us know what it's going to take to get you to stick around.
Well, I'm very excited to be here. I think what we've got going on right now in Manitou, I think it's a really exciting opportunity for us. And I think the mentality, it really seems, is everybody wants to kind of nicen everything up and put a little bit of happiness and glory back into Manitou that was once there. And so I'm super excited to be a part of all of it. So pleasure to meet all of you, and I can't wait to hear and learn more from all of you. So
awesome. Thanks, man. Tim, go ahead.
Yeah, the voice cut out a little bit. I think, did you say you're hiring a crew leader?
A few of us on the parks crew, we did a crew leader certification course that was with Rimfy.
Yeah.
And so we spent a weekend up on Pikes Peak learning all of the basics to doing trail maintenance, and then learning how to be an effective leader for it. So that was very helpful.
I thought you said after that you were hiring somebody, but maybe I misunderstood.
Yeah, Denise is going to be taking over as our crew leader on trail maintenance, and she's going to be out there hands-on every day. So
Nice.
And you guys laugh. Really, you laugh.
That's because you're gonna want a pink or yellow flowered helmet, and you don't have them.
Yeah, something.
We're just gonna
Okay.
put a shovel in your hands instead of a pickleball paddle.
There we go. All is
There you
well.
go.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Cool. Well, thanks. And we'll see you soon. open space management, or anybody else have anything with trail and trail maintenance? Sounds
Brad,
like
I'm gonna-
everything's happening as it should. They're not doing anything really until like the fall, right, Andrea? Or Brad?
Yep.
Cool. So let's move to number 2, open space management updates. Tim,
Yeah, let's see. This is kind of a leftover from our defunct trial of doing subcommittees. And if you'll remember, we kind of got this OSAC management subcommittee, and we're trying to figure out exactly what to do with it. But a couple of things, I just wanted to do a post-mortem on this before we let it go completely. There's some good ideas that came out of this, and some ideas that didn't fly at all. So just really quickly, the whole idea of an OSAC database and a data architecture and everything, there's some good stuff in that, but the problem that pops up real quickly on a lot of this is not accidentally tripping over the sunshine law. And we have to be really, really careful on that. And that's especially pops up with the issues of having an OSAC calendar and maybe even OSAC contacts and stuff like that, where it's not really doable as what I had in mind, which is a separate site or a separate Microsoft OSAC user, because that creates all sorts of problems, which Denise was happy to point out to me when I was in there talking with her. So some of that goes away, although I still think the idea of having an OSAC folder with some structured subfolders under that makes a lot of sense, and that the documents on demand that you pointed out, Denise, is really, unless I'm misunderstanding that, is just a bucket for everything Manitou. Is that correct? There's no structure within that.
There is a structure and we can do it. We're also getting ready to go into SharePoint, I believe it is, that we're getting ready to go into. And no, Laserfish. So Laserfish will be going, sorry, I can't remember. I did SharePoint at another organization.
Yeah, you
So
lost
it's
me on Laserfish. SharePoint, I almost knew what you were talking about.
Well, it's the same thing, and we're getting ready to launch that later this year, which will then have all the subdivisions and the things that you're talking about.
Okay, that would be really handy. I think, and the reason I got excited about that is that we're losing people all the time, of course, and we're losing a lot of knowledge, and I would like some slots to throw some of that knowledge into, that we can depend on having in a place, and we do have to be very careful that we don't put stuff in there that shouldn't be or isn't intended for the public. So, but anyway, so that's one idea that kind of, or at least one is on the back burner now. Most of the stuff that I'd looked at for maybe doing a database on, that's just really overkill. We can do everything we want in Excel files, and that works out fine. See, yeah, one of the things I wanted to throw in those buckets is to have a bucket for lessons learned and a bucket for new OSAC members. In other words, new OSAC members go in and look at the documents that we have set up there, the documents that you need to know. And maybe that's just a list of documents, I don't know, but some structured way in which the new members can get familiar with what it is to be an OSAC member and things like that. I know I didn't have that when I came on, and I made some mistakes, some political mistakes too, but I think it would be a handy thing. Anyway, one of the other things is finishing up the odd lots evaluations, and we're well on the way to doing that. I made the bold statement to Denise that we could finish that up in June. I may have been a little ahead of my skis.
What
there.
did I offer on that bet? I forgot. Denise, you were the witness. I think I offered.
I think it was $1,000. If you didn't make it, he was gonna pay you
I think it was
$1,000.
more like breakfast or something.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
okay, well, breakfast is on me then. But
Okay,
we'll see, we might get this done. We've got, like, all I was looking at when I said that was the 61 lots or whatever it was that Dylan had listed as open space properties. I went in and looked at the assessor's site, and there are almost 200 parcels of property that are listed as Manitou Springs owned property. If part of this job is to go in and decide what is open space on all of those 200 properties, then that's a different project.
Way different project.
I think that's actually what Dylan was doing, was going through all those properties. I don't know if he ever completed that process. The other side of that question is, are the zoning maps that the assessor's office show, are they the rule that defines what are open space? Or to say it another way around, what defines whether or not something's open space? How do we determine that with all of those 200 parcels? Do we know what algorithm Dylan was using to make that determination? So I don't want to go down a rabbit hole here, but Denise.
I don't think Dylan was making like any kind of judgment calls of what was open space and what wasn't. I think he was going through and finding stuff that was purchased or donated to open space that hadn't been zoned open space.
Right, right.
He wasn't going in and saying open space or not. There was a step missed in the whole acquisition process, and that was to take it to planning to get it zoned, which is
So
basically
he was going
consent
through
calendar
every
thing
one
for
of
them.
those properties. Excuse me,
No, just the properties zoned open space.
just based on the open space, based on the zoning maps.
Yeah, because it turns out that a lot of those properties that were zoned open space, there wasn't the paperwork backing it up.
Okay,
The filing hadn't been done to back it up. And so that's what he was trying to clean up. So
Okay,
it
so-
wasn't, we
You know what
saw.
I'm going to do, guys? I'm going to have a meeting with planning because we've been kind of speculating what he meant and what he thought since he's been gone.
yeah,
Let me have a meeting with planning and find out exactly what.
yeah. How about
Because
including
we've
me
gotten-
in on that meeting? Okay.
Yeah, we've gotten so far removed from Dylan that we're all kind of guessing and trying to remember what we were tasked to do and why, and we don't really know. So let me get with planning, and I'll get you involved, Tim, too,
Okay,
and I'll have some like solid. I should have done this a long time ago. I'm sorry I didn't. Oh yeah, we haven't had planning staff. I will figure that out and report back in June.
nicely done, Shannon. You got that in.
Yeah, like,
And just, Tim, one comment about your new board member orientation. There is someplace, and this is to your point about having knowing where all our documents is, there is someplace a new board member orientation list of documents, because I did it myself.
Okay,
These are
do we know where that document is?
no.
I did not see it when I joined.
But it was a list, a list of
Okay.
things that they should read.
Yeah, and that should be in that folder.
Exactly.
Yeah, okay, yeah, see.
Maybe just meeting with me and we could maybe hammer out some things to go on like a Google Drive kind of thing. It would help that with someone to start a fire under that process.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's
I
get that on
think
the
it's-
the
I
next
think it's-
agenda.
I actually think it's in our SOPs, in our,
Standard operating procedures. I think
Yeah.
it is. I think I read it.
I think
Which is-
that's, I mean,
Yeah.
Okay, well, maybe I just don't know where all this stuff is, and maybe it's already nicely compartmentalized. I don't know.
Epically compartmentalized, like, yeah. So Tim, I will reach out to you and maybe we could work on that.
Okay, thank you. Let me think, anything else in this? There's a lot of work to be done in this, and I'm sure we'll be running into this again, but a lot of it, Denise, is when you get lizard's breath or whatever the name of that was, we can figure out how to work that in.
Laserfish.
Oh, okay. I was close. So yeah, I think we'll just leave it there. I don't want to go off on a bunch of tangents. I certainly could. And one of the last things I wanted to mention is we're still begging the city for access to the GIS. So
So let me just say, I got a thing from Roy today. He hasn't had a chance to look into it. I got back from your question, so he will get back with me hopefully tomorrow or Wednesday, and I'll let you know.
okay,
So I got that. And then the other questions I also, Tim, I'll get to you regarding a couple of other things that you asked. So I'll get that to you, hopefully tomorrow.
okay, thank you. That's it.
Cool. Hey Denise, Cheryl is here. Could you move her over?
Oh, you bet. Sorry. Thank you.
So anybody have any other questions or comments? Doesn't look like it. Number 3, Black Canyon open space site visit. You guys want to hammer that out? Can we hammer out a date right now?
Yes.
yes.
Anybody? We can do it in an evening too. You guys want to do like 6 o'clock some evening?
Yes.
It is a very quick walk. We can park literally right in front of what we're going to be looking at.
Mhm.
And
Do it.
What do you guys think? Next Monday is Memorial Day. You want to do it? What do you guys think? Next Tuesday?
The 30th,
Sure.
what time?
6 o'clock. I'm throwing this out there, you guys. If you have better ideas, I'm just throwing it out to get a starting point.
Could we do it on the 1st of June, maybe, or on Wednesday? I just can't do it on Tuesday.
Wednesday's the 31st.
Right.
You want to do it on Wednesday? How about that for everybody?
That's good for me.
Wednesday at 6. And let's meet on, I'll send you, let's meet at Black Canyon Road. Just look for my truck. It will be parked on the
This
west
is on
side
the
of the
way
road.
to Cedar Heights, right?
Yeah, it's on the way to Cedar Heights. How about this? How about this? Let's park at the swimming pool and walk up from the swimming pool. Because then everybody can get the whole picture of what we own and what we don't
yeah,
own.
that's a good idea.
I'll get with Alicia and get that posted. Sound good? Wednesday, the 31st at 6 o'clock at the swimming pool.
Okay.
I won't be able to join you. We have a Citizens Academy that evening. And
Okay.
then the Parks Department is supposed to be doing a speech. So I unfortunately won't be able to join you guys, but I'll look forward to hearing about it though, for sure.
Yeah, and Brad, this is a very preliminary. This is just kind of getting the ball rolling in our head. So it'll be really easy to update you and bring you up to speed with what we're doing.
Right on.
So, yeah, Tim.
What do you hope to come out of this?
I want everybody to see, and hopefully we'll have some kind of action item if we want to move forward to this stairway into our access into our open space, so we can just kind of leave West Side in the dust and open up our open space.
Okay.
That would be my goal. Does anybody have any other? I mean, that's everybody's goal, right? Am I?
Mhm.
We want to open this thing and figure out how to do it.
Okay.
Cool. Any other questions, comments about that one? Nope. Number 4, a Bill Bauer Park connection. Did everybody see that in your packet? It is on page. So I talked to Denise about it. Do you guys see that? Can you guys all see it? Or do you remember what I'm talking about even?
Yep.
Yeah, it's on page 19.
Page 19. Trying to move my thing. It's that little hourglass, like pokey, turn it up to the left. It would look like mountains. That's a piece of property. Denise got me some information from our company that does the appraisals, and they quoted about $750 to do an appraisal of that property. It's TRS. It's who the city uses for everything. They also told Denise to relay to us if we don't want to spend that money, we could start the negotiation on the assessors. On the, I don't know if we should, do you start that on the assessed value or the market value? Basically said that we could use the assessor's pricing on it to start our negotiation if we wanted to. I don't really know a whole lot about that right now. So what do you guys think? Do we want to pay for an appraisal?
Oh,
The assessor's page has it at market value for $7,400.
right.
We all know that their market value is always pretty low.
Yeah, we can, that's certainly a starting point. I doubt if he's gonna go for that, but
Yeah, so the seller is open to offers.
We talked to me and Tim and John Stark met with him a couple months ago when John Stark was still here, trying to just figure out what he wanted, so I could bring information back to you guys. And he said he wanted to hear from us what we're willing to pay for it, because his family, they don't really know either. They have not got it appraised.
Okay. So it's, the assessor says $7,400. Why don't we just offer him 10,000 and be done? Let's see what happens.
I'll do whatever you guys want me to do.
So to move forward, at least we'll know where we are then.
And then we don't have to do an appraisal.
Right. Don't do the appraisal. I mean, I don't know that, I think we could afford that to complete that.
I think that's, you know what, I think that's a great number, but I want to hear what you guys think.
For the appraisal, are you talking about?
No, to just offer them straight up 10 Gs.
Oh,
I'm good with offering 10 Gs.
Is that a motion?
Yeah, let's make a motion.
I will
I'll make a motion to offer 10 grand for it.
Rob. I'll second it.
Any thoughts,
Second.
comments?
Second.
Second. All those in favor?
No,
hold on.
discussion.
Any
Yeah,
comments or discussion? Sorry.
if we offer him 10 grand, he's gonna ask for 20.
I agree.
But I think offering him 7,400 is when we know,
Insulting.
yeah.
What number, what do you think, Tim?
I am the slightest idea. You know, these things are always worth what somebody will pay for them.
Right.
You know, so
I have a
don't
feeling
any
we are
prob-
the
I don't have
only
any problem
people
with-
paying for it.
I don't have any problem with 10 grand, but yeah, that's gonna start the negotiation, so.
Well, it doesn't, I mean, what would someone want it for? You can't build on it. I mean, it was so steep and narrow and there's tons of big rocks in there.
The
What
only
would
thing someone could possibly do is make it like a bigger backyard.
Yeah, backyard they control.
Right. I mean, that is it.
Oh, they could put a zip line in there.
They
Well, and
could,
honestly, I
they
don't think
could.
anybody would really want to take control of that.
I don't either.
I'm
Anybody,
fine
TJ?
with that, but
What are your thoughts, TJ?
I'm all for this connection. I think, yeah, I mean, if he comes back and wants 20, then then we negotiate down to 15 and that kind of stuff. I'm not really worried about that sort of unknown of what the response is going to be. So I think that we should really go ahead and get this process going, because with the combination of this and linking up to the city-owned property that was open space and is not, and that sort of thing, it gets us a good connection that's not on that super steep road all the way down from the neighborhood up there down to Manitou Avenue.
He's got both lots up there for sale, both the 2 remaining lots. But I don't know who would build on them. They're just weird. And it's a long way from the street.
What 2
So-
lots are you talking about, Judy?
There's a lot next to the Minches, Kathy and Neil's. But it is really strange.
Down
Not-
further down, you mean?
It's right next to him. The for sale sign is on the ledge of the lot. It's not even out front.
That's
It's
not
really-
his.
That's not his?
No, that's somebody else's.
Ah, okay.
So if you look to the left of that, the green parcel, there's a big lot that looks like an arrow pointing to the north and the east. That's his, and he wants to turn that into 2 lots. They are actually, I think they are buildable. That's all his property. That's all he owns.
But they're not in the ravine. They're up.
No, they're up. They're right on Mountain. You know where on Mountain View where everybody parks their like trailers and stuff?
Mhm.
That's actually his lot where those people are parked at.
Oh,
And then everything below that towards Emerald Field is Mr. Basara or something like that. And those lots are for sale.
Yeah, I think you're right, Shannon. You know, if I bought one of those lots and had an opportunity to make that my bigger backyard for $10,000, I would do it.
I would do it, yeah, in a heartbeat.
Yeah,
So,
let's get the ball rolling.
okay,
are we gonna vote?
We have a motion.
yep. All those in favor? That's unanimous. So I'll take that to him and I'll let you guys know in June. I think what happens is I kind of like feel it out. Denise, correct me if I'm wrong. I'll feel it out with him. If he says go, then it turns over to the city and the city takes care of everything. If he says no, then I'll ask him what he wants. I come back to you guys, we make a decision. And then once we come to any kind of number, then the city takes over. And they handle it. I think TRS is actually the people that do it. So.
Okay.
All right, let's move on to 284 Crystal Park Road. Wow, you know what I just realized is I should have moved that to the front of the agenda for Dave and Melissa.
Oh, shoot, they were here too.
So I think there still are. Sorry, guys. Okay, 284 Crystal Park Road should be in the packet. Is everybody familiar with 284 Crystal Park Road? How about that?
I don't see anything attached in the packet on it.
It did not, wait, what's this?
Is it the very last page?
No, that's the Bill Bauer connection. Dang it.
Not
Tim,
in.
do you know how to pull something up and share it? Does anybody know how to do that?
Sure, I can pull it up. Let's see.
Okay, so while Tim's pulling it up, 284 Crystal Park Road is owned by David and Melissa Stinson. They're new to Manitou. They bent over backwards for the community and built a smaller house on this piece of property than was allowable. They jumped through all the hoops so they could build on this side of Wildcat Gulch. Do you guys remember when we had to move our trail just a little bit because it was encroaching into their property? That's the property. So we have a 15-foot wide trail, literally a corridor that goes straight to the Wildcat Gulch, crosses the gulch, and then goes up to our stairs. We have always talked about how to get rid of those stairs, how to do a workaround because they're not sustainable. It crosses the gulch in a steep spot, and it's literally a 15-foot corridor. I mentioned today, I've met Dave and Melissa a couple times when we were trying to move that trail with Skylar and Seth. Met them through some neighborhood stuff when they were, or heard of them. And I just mentioned to them, hey guys, if you're ever interested in getting that trail out of your backyard, literally like they could high five people probably from their deck on our trail. If you're ever interested, we'd love to talk to you. I brought this up to you guys last week or last meeting.
Yeah.
And they had said when we were up there talking to them that they'd like to maybe think about it for a year and see how it goes, how they live with it. They called or they emailed literally probably a week or two after our last meeting and said they want to pull the trigger on somehow. I have no idea how this is going to look. A trade, a purchase, but putting the trail on the other side of the gulch, we would be giving them our 15-foot. So now that becomes their yard, and our trail goes nowhere near any of the houses and comes down to Crystal Park Road with no stairs involved whatsoever. Is the dream and the theory. There's a lot that it would have to happen to figure this out. Matt Carpenter used to have a trail that Wade Buckholder asked him to build when they were doing the Wildcat Gulch thing. And he had a trail that's generally in line with what we were talking to with the Stinsons. Matt was out there with us. We did a walk, kind of like picking out where they would like the general area of the trail. And honestly, it would be a really cool trail. It would be pretty low grade trail through the woods, no stairs, didn't really cross any drainages. So they came to me and said, we want to pull the trigger on this. I'm bringing it to you guys to see if there is interest from our group to see how we push forward. I don't even know how we move forward with this. I talked to Hannah a little bit. She said it would start some survey processes. We just need to get more details, but I need to know if you guys want to move forward. So thoughts, questions, comments. Dave and Melissa, I think, are here. So
Do you want me to move them over?
yeah, that'd be great.
Did I just share
Tim
some?
has our lot that we're talking about. Can you make that bigger, Tim?
Yeah, I think so. Just a second.
And while Tim's doing that, what do you guys thoughts and questions? I know this is a lot
I
of
think-
information to throw at you right away.
I have a question.
Yeah.
I think we should look at it.
Oh, go ahead, it's Judy.
I was gonna say, I think it would be great to get out there and look at what you saw, so we have some idea of what it is that we're talking about doing. I understand the concept, but
Yeah.
I don't have any idea what it looks like.
Okay. Nancy.
Yeah, I'd like to look at it again, but I was part of the group that trounced all around there looking for a different way to get rid of those stairs. I just want to know two things to the best of your knowledge, Shannon. Would an alternative trail down from the top there, how buildable, how expensive, how,
Just go straight across.
I mean, I've only looked at it from the other side. I haven't looked at it from the.
Everything I know about trails, this would be the cheapest one we've ever looked at building.
Really?
It's gentle sloping.
And then we'd have to rehab and close the stairs. Would that be the plan?
We have to figure that out.
That would be
Everything
the-
is on the table right now. Everything. We have to talk to them, figure out what they want. We have to figure out what we want. Last I spoke to Melissa and David, we had a general idea of where the trail they would like to see it go. It's their property, so they're driving the ship. I just need to know that we're, as a group, that we want to pursue this.
Mhm.
So when you say driving the ship, do you mean they so they want to do like a land swap? Yeah.
I don't know if it will be a straight swap. I don't know if we'll be having to throw money into it. I really don't know, and I won't know until we figure out how would the alignment would be, or how it even takes place. Is
we-
it square foot per square foot? Is it, I don't know those things. And I
Are
don't
there-
think any of us do either. We would have to get definitely some advisement.
We also have some restrictions from Matt Carpenter, right? Because he's the neighbor.
Right.
Matt was out there with us, and he had a kind of him and Dave and Melissa all. Matt was kind of showing us the way he thought would be the best for drainage and all that. But I mean, this is as casual as it gets. This wasn't even on the radar except for just chatting.
Okay. Well, what if both of us kind of came like OSAC, you know, on management and this come up
You're
with
breaking up a little bit, Andrea.
in trouble tonight. We could come up with just what our hope is. Maybe we could do a site visit and say like, kind of here's what our hope is. And then the Stensons could say, this is what we were thinking, like in a paragraph or so, and maybe some maps.
Can
Would
we
that be a
hear
good
from them
start?
now? What they're
Can
Can you hear us?
you hear us?
Hey,
Yeah, we
David
can
and
hear you.
Melissa.
Oh, okay.
Hi.
Hey, David and
Hello.
Melissa, did I explain that to the best of I could?
You did. I did want to add that we've had it surveyed twice, so we could finally be able to build here. So we have a pretty good understanding of what is possible. We were thinking generally to swap the trail to the west side of our house and move it to I guess that'd be the east side of our house. And then across the top, we'd have to see
The
if
trail would just go straight across.
the trail would go across, kind of like it does now, only it'd be curving instead of straight up and down. So like you said, it'd be pretty gentle. I think more for the bicyclers than the walkers and hikers.
Are you guys proposing land swap like with Manitou Springs? Or are you saying you want to switch and put an easement on your current property and then?
No, we'd like to sell it or swap it with you. We don't want to have ownership of the trail.
Yeah, I
Of the
hear
new
you.
trail for liability reasons, if nothing else.
And it actually would just start where the stairs start to go down. It would just continue all the way across and no one would have to go to the stairs and then gently slope
Horizontal before it came down vertical, I would say.
between ours and
And Matt
Matt's
Carpenter's
house. Right.
house.
But it's mainly, I think, all on our property.
We'd love to have y'all come over and
Yeah, can
meet. We're retired. We have nothing else to do. You know, the house is 90% finished finally. So we're ready to move in next month.
Hey, David, could we do like a 6 o'clock in the evening site visit with you?
Sure.
Love it.
Would you guys want to set that up right away? Let's just, instead of hemming and
Right
hawing.
away. And then we can get your input and your ideas. We're open to almost anything. I think it'd be better to have the people, go across the top than right beside us. So that's one of our benefits for us. But I think the benefit for the trail, it would be a nicer trail and easier, especially for bicyclers.
Right.
What do you guys think about June 7th?
June 7th?
I'm just throwing it out there. You guys throw out dates too.
Oh,
I can do June 7th, 8th or 9th. It's my 50th high school reunion.
Oh
yeah,
yeah,
I
we'll do that.
we can do it tomorrow, whenever you would
Yeah,
like.
this month would be great.
We got to post it 24 hours in advance.
Oh, gotcha.
Okay, cool.
Gotcha.
What about the
We-
24th?
We're open.
Yes,
What
ma'am.
did you say? The 20 what?
24th, this Wednesday.
Oh,
Yes,
this,
Sure.
This Wednesday?
Yeah.
Is it
Yeah.
too soon?
It
We're
has
there.
to be posted 24 hours in advance. I don't think we can do that.
how about Thursday?
Really?
You want to do
That's
Thursday at
48
6?
hours.
I can't do it Thursday.
Can't do
Okay.
Friday nights.
No.
We also need to coordinate this with Matt Carpenter.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, that'd be
How
great.
about the 14th of June?
Ha!
Sure.
Or 13th of June?
Sure.
We're
May.
there every day.
I'm out in Kansas doing field work all that week.
Okay.
Okay. You don't
Uh,
think Wednesday is possible this week? Get posted in time?
Yeah, that's
No.
48 hours away.
Yeah, that's,
I
Yep.
mean, if we post it tomorrow.
There's time to post it if somebody
That
posts it.
is
tomorrow.
time.
And if it doesn't work, we reschedule it.
Yep.
Yeah, let's try and do it tomorrow. Or Wednesday at 6, but I just don't like putting staff like, hey, you need to do this immediately, but I'll do that tomorrow
Sure.
morning.
Oh,
Let's-
thank you.
Shannon, if you do that, let's see what we can do. I'll ask Alicia if she can, I'll see her tonight, depending what time we get out of here, and I'll see if they can do it.
Okay, so let's do the 24th at 6 o'clock.
Hey, Tim, can you quit sharing your screen?
Oh, sorry about that.
The only
Well,
thing
thank you.
is we have to have a contingency plan for rain. It looks like there's a 90% chance of storms.
Bring a rain jacket.
Wednesday. So not if
Bring
it's
rain
lightning,
jacket.
sorry.
Can we
90%.
We can talk from the deck and look around 360 and
We
Make it-
literally could.
Yes.
No, that would actually be perfect. We could literally even hang out in his garage. So
Yeah. Or in the
Oh.
house.
in the house now.
yeah,
Shannon,
let's do Wednesday at 6, 284 Crystal Park Road.
thank y'all.
Thank you.
See ya.
Thank you.
Hey, Dave,
Many as you
sorry for putting you so deep into the agenda.
That's okay.
That's okay.
I'm retired.
It was interesting.
Yeah, it is. Very
All right,
interesting.
guys, we'll see you Wednesday night. I will text you if anything changes with that, David.
Thank y'all. Thanks, Shannon.
Okay,
Uh,
see you guys.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
Bye.
Leave.
Dang, all right, problem solved.
Shannon, with the HOA,
Sorry, yell into my phone. With the, like, would it matter if we change the trailhead to be, I mean, in a different place? Wasn't that like the kind of the big issue with them?
The big issue with them was turning it into a parking lot.
Okay. So they don't care if there's a trailhead there as long as nobody can park their car there, right?
Well, that was not the HOA, that was Matt Carpenter. Because there was
Okay,
parking.
what is,
street.
okay, I'm just curious, like, what is the HOA's restrictions on putting a trail there?
The only reason they even got involved, that was an HOA that hasn't even been active since like the 70s. The
Huh.
only reason they got involved is because there was a group that wanted it to be a parking lot. The parking lot was the only thing that bugged them,
What group?
the HOA.
No, but who wanted a parking lot there?
Whatever the group was that Roy was was involved in. Roy had packed.
Oh, the park, okay, the
Parking.
parking and mobility
Yes.
advisory group. Okay, gotcha.
So didn't have anything to do with us. And the only reason I know is because I'm friends with the neighbors.
That
It
helps
really
though.
had nothing to do with us.
Because I don't want us to go through all this rigmarole and then it turns into, oh, sorry, the HOA doesn't want more people in their hood. So you
They're
can
not gonna
understand my
be- They're
concern.
not going to be okay with parking up there.
Yeah,
Uh,
Yeah, I mean, I don't think we're proposing anything like that right now. Yep.
well, I mean, there's no parking spots. So,
Well,
Matt
right now
Carpenter-
there's a couple that are
Mhm.
on Crystal Park Road that are right by that trailhead.
right.
Right.
That's all.
Yeah, Matt Carpenter had a deal with the city about the parking right in front of his house, and the city came and put boulders in it, so it's not parking. So that, I mean, the street parking is going to be
It
Yeah.
is.
not our problem.
Right, but from the people in the HOA that I know around there, they're pretty avid users of that trail, so the elimination of the trailhead is not going to be on the table, I don't think.
No, the trailhead will just be moved down 50 feet. So,
We'll have to move our sign.
yeah, we'll just have to move the sign. But it's still going to be a trailhead, like you literally step off the road onto the trail. There's not going to be like a parking trailhead type thing. So it's going to be the same as it is, just 50 feet north.
Well, we just have to go look.
Yeah, I'll ask the HOA people if that's a bug. I have a feeling though, if two of the HOA is pretty tight. Matt, the other guy who owns the Mr. Gosh, what was his name? Larry Schwartz. He owns on the other side of this trail. And he's 100% for this too. He brought it up before people even own that lot. So 3 of the 10 people that are in the HOA are on board. Does
And
anybody
Shannon-
else have questions about this?
Shannon-
Yeah, Andrea.
You're going to reach out to Matt Carpenter?
Yeah, I will.
Okay, thank you.
For
So-
Wednesday.
I think the big thing we can take away from our meeting on Wednesday is if we want to do it or not. And then we got to figure out how to do it. Because I think that's going to be a big deal, figuring out how to do it.
You mean how to make the trail?
No, how to do the swap.
Oh.
As different as this is from Jeff Beery's property,
Mhm.
it's the same. So
It's not-
we're taking private, we're giving our public land to private citizen. So that it's very similar to what we're talking about doing on the other side of town.
But aren't we just swapping? It'll just become open space. We're just swapping open space for open space, new open space.
We're still giving open space to a private individual. There's really no sugarcoating that. It's still. So we
It's a
just
swap.
gotta look at it, see how it's possible.
It's a swap. Yeah.
So anyway, that's that. Any other questions or comments? I'm gonna write that down and I'll post that as a public meeting for the 24th at 6.
There are lots of precedences for swaps.
Yeah, I mean, we'll still have to get planning and the lawyer involved. That's the
Yeah,
only thing I'm
yeah.
really saying.
Right.
So,
Cool.
and we still got to keep in mind, we cannot steamroll these people. If they don't like what we're proposing, they're not going to do it. Matt told me that because a little bit of this trail does have to go on Matt's property. At the bottom, so there's a lot of moving parts. But to get onto Crystal Park Road, we have to go through Matt's a little bit, and he's totally amenable until he's not. And everybody will pull their support if they don't like what they're hearing. So just want to put that out there. Any other questions? Nope. The Martin property, Tim.
Yeah,
The Martin property is that part by the fields that we said we made a motion last meeting that we would throw $50,000 at it. I reported to city council, our liaison, that was a thing, and it completely hit a roadblock. I have no idea what happened. So I don't know if we're on our own with that. I really don't know. Does anybody know? Nobody knows. So do you guys want to offer them 50 grand and see what they say on our own without the city? I was hoping the city would say, hey, we'll throw in 100 grand or we'll throw in 52 or.
yeah, if I think it's just going to depend whether they're getting any interest on the property. And they might not, they might not get anything at all.
Well,
But-
my
Go ahead.
understanding, and I only have this secondhand, is that the mayor said, no hurry. We don't need to do anything right now.
I think the mayor was quoting something we said in a casual conversation. And he asked me if there was any big hurry on this, and I think I said I doubt it, a bit like that, which I do. I don't.
I think we feel more urgency probably than the city. Or I don't know, or maybe we don't, I don't know, but.
To sell it. Well, all it has to happen is they get one offer and say yes, and that's the end of the show.
Yeah.
I think what you might want to do is, Shannon, as you're the chair of OSAC, to send an email to the mayor and ask that this be put on executive session. And
Okay.
that OSAC and committee, I recommend that you do a motion in a second, that's what you want to do. So therefore Shannon can take it to the mayor and ask for it to be put on executive session and you to talk about it. Because my understanding is OSAC really can't purchase any money without the approval of council also.
Of course, yeah.
So I would just make a motion in a second that you want to ask for this to be put on executive
Perfect.
session.
If we want to do that, yeah.
if that's what you want to do.
Well, I mean, we made the motion last meeting that we wanted to offer 50 grand to the idea of buying this property. I don't think we want to go at it alone. I don't know. Anybody want to comment on that? Make a motion?
Who else would go on it now that the school board has apparently said no? Or
I think the city. I think this screams city, but we can't tell them what to do.
I'd move that we ask that this be put in executive session for a meeting with the city.
Okay, with our 50 grand still on the table.
Yeah, that's what we'll talk about.
I
Okay.
second the motion.
Tim, okay.
Any comments, discussion? All those in favor? All right.
Hey, I had one wild idea on this.
Whoa.
I haven't gone down there and walked it lately, but that might be suitable for, some of it might be suitable for pickleball courts.
For what?
Pickleball courts.
Yay.
It's right next to pickleball courts.
Right. Yeah. It
It's
seems
so
like there's.
pretty. No. What I want to know is, I walked it again the other day. Is the far end of the property where the tall fence ends
Yeah.
Mhm.
and it goes to a shorter fence, chain link?
Yeah.
That is a gorgeous piece of river
Yeah.
property.
Yeah,
It really is.
We should save all the river trail, creek walk trail. It should be along the creek as much as possible.
That's a really good. It's a very good riparian area with. I mean, I don't think there's much you even need to do with it. So.
Mm-mm.
Anyway, we had a
Little picnic
motion
table.
second and it passed unanimously. I'll get a letter to the mayor tomorrow.
Shannon, I need to step out for a moment, but I'll
Yeah,
keep
you're
it
good.
going. I gotta go
Denise,
to
you're
another
good.
meeting and I'll be back, but I just want to let you know I need to step out.
Okay, awesome.
Thanks.
Okay, so we'll move forward on that. Then number 7 is the Oak Ridge Trail. If you guys remember, I was gonna take this off the agenda because there's some swirling around of, it really has nothing to do with me, but there's some rumors about the guy that owns the donkeys over there. That's been around for Mr. Beisel. There was some talk that there might be something going on over there. I found out today there's not. It's the same old story. We're going to keep our ears open. So I was going to take that off. There's nothing to talk about in an executive session like I thought there might have been. So the Oak Ridge Trail is what we're calling that little connection from behind the school, kind of right around Oklahoma, that goes up to the Iron Mountain Trail that Tim kind of pioneered. We talked about it in our goals meeting, and we put it pretty high up there. It wasn't in the top 3, but I think it was like top 4. What do you guys want? We don't have a trails guy anymore. Seth had kind of put together a little bit of alignment up there. What do you guys think about this? Tim, why don't you take over for me? Because I can see that I'm losing everybody.
okay. Yeah, it was kind of a cool little short trail that could connect the old Inman Trail is what I call it, back up there to Oak Ridge Road is what the platted road up there is called. That's where I came up with the name for it. And it's Shannon's walked that before. I've walked it several times, and it's just kind of a cool way of getting up into that area. And
Does it make a connection? Does it make a trail connection?
It
well,
does.
it connects between the old Inman Trail and the Iron Mountain Trail.
Do you guys remember the very long, skinny piece of open space that we have right behind the school, right behind the middle school? It uses that
Let me see if I
to
can
get up to the Inman or to the Iron Mountain Trail.
Sorry, I thought this was not going to be in this.
No, we both thought it was going to be off the agenda. So the map did. Basically, the question is, we don't have to really hash it out. Do we want to still
We had
research
voted-
how this could,
We had voted to spend $10,000 to a consulting group to go up there and lay out an alignment.
that's right. I forgot about that.
So we already have the money allocated. And the question is, do we want to go ahead and hire somebody, spend $10,000 and see what's doable up there? Because it's kind of a funny piece of property. It's very narrow. I don't know how far across that is, 100 feet maybe, where it takes off. And then we have an additional piece of property up there. And it's kind of cool because it kind of hooks into a beautiful little valley up there that was where the old Intermin Trail went, that's been abandoned. And we don't have to use that trail, but it's a real pretty area up there. And
I'm sorry, I need to walk it. I don't know it.
my description isn't carrying you away with this.
It's good. It's good, Tim. I just,
And I think that
I'm a visual learner.
Okay, I'll take that.
originally, the benefit of this whole trail was for the Manitou Monsters biking group from the middle school and the high school, so that they could just start from the schools and take off, because that's a very,
That's a possibility. We don't, that's one of the things that we allocated.
This
to
trail would be almost impossible for biking.
oh, it would.
Oh, yeah.
Because I thought that was one of the requests was, a trail for the bike club to get up to the trails.
No,
It is.
Chuck,
That's a
Chuck,
different
who was
route.
in charge of that bike club, brought it to us for that. But there's no way to turn that into we don't have enough property to turn it into a bikeable trail. The idea was hopefully we would get this controversial property beside it, and then it opens up everything. But that's not on the table.
Okay.
To use what we have to turn that into, it could be done, but it would be a terrible bike trail.
But this is still Beisel's property, true?
No.
No,
No.
this is all Manitou Springs property.
And
Okay.
it's that real skinny one that and that's why it's hard to
So are you saying like it have to be stairs kind of situation to?
it'd definitely be it's definitely going to be a hiking trail. People, I wouldn't make it hiking only, but it's not going to be a draw to bikers. We just we need that Beisel property to make it bikeable.
Right.
And
But everybody knows we don't go on Beisel property without his express permission, right?
right.
Because
Right.
he has guns. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
He has guns.
That's it.
And he's used them.
Yeah, right.
And he knows how to point them, yeah.
Ah,
So we voted, like Tim said, we did vote to get an alignment drawn, built, whatever, figured out. Do you guys want to push forward with that? And I don't even know who we talked to about pushing forward to it now because we don't have staff. So push forward. Is that what you're saying, Andrea? We already had a motion and a second, and we voted unanimously to do it. We just wanted to bring it back to everybody's attention. Like, hey guys, this is still a thing.
I really need to see. I don't know if I'm the only one. If I'm the only one that's not really familiar with it, go ahead.
It might have happened in Nancy when you were gone. But you know what? Go out there with Tim and check it out.
Yeah, I will.
Wear long pants.
ha!
It's steep.
Yeah, I'd be happy to go out there with anybody and walk it again. That'd be fun.
Yeah, it's cool. It is a cool little gig.
I'd like to see it, Tim.
Okay.
Yeah, Robin.
Well, we might have
We
to,
can go
we
together.
might have to schedule this. We might have to make it a public thing.
Yeah, unless you want to go twice.
3 times.
4
Three
times.
times. 4 times.
Uh-oh. Okay, it looks like a group.
Maybe we're not ready to vote yet. Maybe we need one more meeting.
Yeah.
There's 4 of us who want to go.
Why don't you guys figure out when this is not something you want to probably do in an evening.
No,
No, probably not.
This is probably
The other
something you
thing
want
that it connects to or potentially connects to is
After coffee, Tim.
is the Oak Valley Trail. Because you go over the call that this trail would go up to, And you can drop down to that Oak Valley Trail that runs down that valley towards the Beisel property, which of course is a dead end for us there. But it's possible that you could wind that trail back up to connect to this. I don't know if we want to do that or not, but it's something to think about. So it has some connection purposes. So when do you want to do this?
So we're all gonna make private dates with you.
That's a lot of coffee.
That might be the best thing to do, because if you are out there, I mean, it does get close to Beisel's property. It might be a good idea to do it private, like little private trips.
Okay, tour guide.
Yeah.
4 times.
Okay, well, just email me
Okay,
and I'll set it up.
Cool. So we'll hear something. Let's try and get that done before our next meeting in June.
Yeah, we'll get everything done before the next.
Everything in June.
Yeah, right.
Then number 8, did anybody have any land acquisition opportunities? Anybody see anything coming up? Anything they're after? I just want to throw that out there every so often to just ask. Nope. All right. G, future agendas. We have a lot. We're going to be talking about 284 Crystal Park Road. We should have that, at least an idea. Get in the nitty gritty of that. What else? We should have some information on land swap and private land acquisition, selling, whatever. Anything anybody wants to add to any future agendas? Brad, you're welcome to chime in. If you want to put something on our agenda, you're welcome to.
I appreciate that. I've definitely been trying to take in everything everybody's saying and just kind of see what direction you're heading. And yeah, just trying to really learn as much as I can about Manitou. And, so as things come aboard, I'll make sure to speak up and kind of keep you guys in tune with what's going on in my head too, as I get out there and see more stuff. So
awesome, Brad. And I'll hit you up next week, and maybe me and you can meet up and go for a hike or something, and just I can impart any wisdom I might have.
oh, that sounds absolutely terrible. I don't know if I can handle that. So
It'd be terrible. You'll get paid to do it too.
oh, I'm in.
So anyway, is that it? Anybody comments? Any last hurrahs? Nope. Move to adjourn if someone has one.
I make a move that we adjourn the meeting.
Second.
I'll second.
All those in favor? Oh, it's unanimous. We'll see you guys later. We'll see you guys Wednesday. I'll get that posted.
Okay.
If for some reason I can't get it posted by then, I will email you immediately.
Okay, but we're
I'll
all
get with
meeting,
Alicia first thing in the morning.
we're meeting at the pool parking lot.
No, on Wednesday, 284 Crystal Park Road.
Oh, sorry,
Go up to
the other one.
go
Okay.
up to the Iron Mountain Trail and find a place to park. You know what? You could probably go in their driveway. I think they'd be totally cool with that. It's a gravel driveway, goes up. So just go into their driveway, 284 Crystal Park Road on Wednesday
At 6 o'clock?
at 6:00.
Okay, that'll be a little late in the evening, but
You know what? It'll be plenty of time for that though.
yeah, I think so.
But yeah, what we'll do is once we get there, let's try to kind of be efficient and just start walking and talking instead of hemming and hawing. And then we can talk in the dark if we need to, instead of